Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Courtney, if you don't know me already, and I'm from New Zealand. Welcome into the channel. So this is the top 10 rudest countries. I did the top 10 friendliest countries the other day. I will link it up here if you are interested. And I was like pretty surprised by the list. Honestly, some of the countries on there I just was not expecting. So I'm intrigued to find out who is the top 10 rudest countries. My guess is I potentially think France is gonna be on here. I've heard stories about France before about not having the friendliest people, but I could be wrong. So let's find out. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know and let's get started.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the World According to Briggs and an international video. Today we're looking at countries where tourists say the locals are rude. I read a blog about this subject where a guy said every time he went to Germany he ran across nothing but rude and unfriendly people. He listed a few other countries he felt were almost as bad as Germany, but he said Germany was the worst.
I had good experiences
that got me
in
thinking, and I ran a poll where I listed 40 of the most visited countries and asked travelers to pick the 3 countries they felt the locals were the most rude. I also listed the top 15 on a few different polls on the community section of this channel, and this is what we found.
Okay, let's
Number
see.
10, the Greeks.
Oh,
Greece is one of the oldest countries still going. They offer tourists ancient ruins, great islands, amazing beaches, gyros, and a steady helping of F you, go back where you came from. Around 30 million people visit Greece every single year. The government and shop owners love that. The locals aren't always on board with it. They have a reputation of being rude. I don't think it's always as rude as people might think. A lot like here in the United States, Greece, they have a tendency to talk a lot with their arms and a little too close for American and let's say British standards. You know, they get a little too close when they're talking. And I think a lot of Westerners or people from North America kind of view this as them being rude. Now, granted, like all countries, they have some rude people that are just rude, but I think a lot of their reputation comes from that. 37% of the people surveyed had Greece listed as one of the 3 rudest countries. Number 9, the Turkish. Yeah, Turkey's got kind of a reputation for having rude residents.
Really?
Like Greece, they have a lot of history going on here. Istanbul, which used to be Constantinople, played a big part in the Crusades. This is where a lot of the European Crusaders passed through to go to the Middle East and cause all kinds of problems. I mean, Constantinople served as an imperial capital for almost 16 centuries. All the way back to the Romans, the Byzantines, the Ottomans, they all had this place as their capital. Turkey offers a lot more outside of Istanbul. They've got a lot of history here, a lot of great things to see. Turkey sees around 50 million visitors a year. Actually, in 2019, before the pandemic, they hit 52 million. So they see a lot of people going through here, and not everyone's on board with how cool they are there. 41% of the respondents had Turkey as one of their 3 countries with the rudest locals. Number 8, Italians. I mean, how can these people be so rude? They got pasta, pizza, they got all the good food here. In my opinion, Italian food ranks right behind Mexican food. Yeah, that's just me. Maybe if I grew up in Europe, I'd feel the opposite about that, but Mexican food, then Italian food. That's how I see it. Italy has some of the most amazing cities to see. Think about it. Rome, Milan, Venice, Florence, San Marino, which actually isn't part of Italy, it's its own country. Yeah, most people don't know that Italy has a small country inside of Italy. It is San Marino, and it is east of Florence and south of Venice. Italy sees over 90 million tourists every single year, at least in the last 10 years. That's about what they see, over 90 million.
Wow,
that dropped down considerably during the pandemic years, but in normal times, they see about 90 million people. And a good percentage of those people apparently think the Italians are rude. Italians actually have a reputation for being rude. I mean, they didn't invent the middle finger, the Greeks did, but the Italians, they sort of perfected it. In Milan, they actually have a statue of the middle finger pointing at the Italian Stock Exchange. Not even kidding, here it is. For a country that invented banks, they really don't like bankers too much. 41% of the people listed Italians in their top 3 rudest locals. Number 7, the Spanish. This one caught me by surprise. I know quite a few Spanish people. They have never been anything but friendly and nice. But apparently if you're a tourist in their homeland, they're not too keen about it. I was reading one travel blogger, and he said that it's mostly the younger kids, people, I should say, the 30 to 20 to their teens. They're the people that don't like a lot of tourists. The older people sort of like it, or at least they like the money that's being brought in from the tourists. I find this one a little strange. I don't know if it's accurate, from my experience, I should say. But apparently, if you go by the survey and the polls, the Spanish people aren't too keen on people coming to Spain. Spain sees about 70 million visitors a year, and 45% of the people surveyed had Spain as one of their 3 countries with the rudest locals. Number 6, the Chinese. Now, I couldn't tell you personally, whether this is correct or not. I'm going by the survey on this one. I've never been to China. I know some Chinese people, not very well, but the survey says that they're pretty rude to locals. I did a little reading, and apparently you go into the rural areas and they really like you. If you get in the cities and stuff, they're kind of rude and abrupt to foreigners. But the locals in the rural areas, they're almost happy to have you. 46% of the people surveyed had China as one of the 3 countries with the rudest locals.
Yeah, I had some
number
bad
5,
experiences.
Americans. Yes, the United States is number 5. I know a lot of people from other countries probably just gasp. How could they be number 5? Shouldn't they be number 1? No, we're really not that rude when you're coming here to be tourists. I mean, if you end up in the wrong place, like New Jersey, you'll probably think differently of us. But for the most part, in most of the country, people are pretty decent in the tourist areas. Not just New Jersey. You might want to add Hawaii onto that. Hawaii's not too keen even about other Americans coming to that state. Now, if you consider gun violence rude, yeah, we're hella rude then, because we got a lot of that here in the United States, in case you don't know, and you're from another country. That's like my advice to anyone coming to the United States from another country. Make sure you know where the dangerous neighborhoods are. I mean, any neighborhood has the potential to be dangerous, but we have some that if you don't know about them, could be a serious mistake. So keep that in mind. You should know little things like, go see St. Louis. The arch is neat and all that's really cool. Don't go see East St. Louis. Don't make that mistake. Go see downtown Detroit. Don't go outside of downtown Detroit and you'll be fine. Go visit Chicago. Just don't go too far south from what they call the Loop, which is the downtown area of Chicago. Things like that. 51% of the people surveyed had the United States as one of their 3 countries with the rudest locals. Number 4, Russians. Russia's another country that has people that I think sort of get a bad rap. Because it's their culture and the way they do things, it doesn't jive with a lot of, especially Western countries and their citizens. Russians are very to the point and very blunt about everything. There's no like gray areas with them most of the time. And they don't sugarcoat much when they're talking to you. So a lot of people might think that's rude. The people that I know that have visited Russia, they're kind of 50-50 on it. Some say it was great. Some people say they were kind of rude and mean to them. So you don't know. But in the survey, 53% of the respondents had Russia as one of their top 3 countries with the rudest locals.
I don't know.
Number 3, Germans. Yeah, Germans are rude and everybody knows it. They can't help it. They got a little that Russian thing going too, where there's no sugarcoating anything. It's very blunt, very to the point, very matter of fact. And like I said in the Russian part, that Westerners find that a little abrasive sometimes. My experience with Germans has never been good. The ones that I know, the ones that I've talked to online, they always seem to be rude. It's like their thing. I don't know what it is. One thing I've always heard over and over, and I kind of got that vibe too, they always get that thing where they think they're better than everyone else. Now, that's an opinion by a lot of people, not like a fact. There's no arrogance metric, Germany in normal years sees about 40 million tourists. And 61% of the people surveyed had Germany as one of their 3 countries that they felt had the rudest locals. Number 2, the British. Now this is amazing because of all the people surveyed, the number 1 country of origin of people that said the British were the rudest were the British. Yeah, the UK says British are the absolute rudest people in other countries. Like these people know how they are and they just own it. I've always heard the phrase ugly Americans when they're talking about Americans going to other countries and being tourists and how we're just rude and stupid and everything else like that. But apparently it's the British are even worse than us. 63% of the people surveyed had the United Kingdom in their top 3
British people
for
are really
rudest
sarcastic,
locals.
But that's kind of like the culture.
All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget at the end of this video, we have these little things where the algorithm suggests other of my videos that you should watch. Why don't you click on one and see if the algorithm's correct. All right, on to number 1.
If it's not France, I'm gonna feel real bad.
And number 1. The French. The French have a legendary reputation for being rude. There have been jokes about how rude the French are since forever. Everybody knows it. It's in jokes. They do things about how rude the French are in movies. There was a movie with Dudley Moore years ago where he played an ad executive who had like a breakdown and started telling the truth, and he created an ad that everyone loved. It showed an Italian woman cooking some pasta and said, "Come to Italy, we're nice. We're not like the French." And it showed a guy with a beret flipping the camera off. So that kind of gives you an idea. Now, don't take that as an opening because I made a reference to a movie that shows how something's a stereotype. For some reason, whenever I mention a movie, that's like someone's defense. Oh, he's basing his opinion off a movie. No, that's called an antidote. My opinion is just like the rest of the world's opinion on the French. They're freaking rude. They got some good wine, though. You gotta love their wine.
They do.
In 2018, France saw 89 million tourists. Now, their target for 2020 was 100 million, but the pandemic kind of set that sideways. We'll see if they get their 100 million here in the next couple years now that we're getting out of the pandemic. 71% of the people surveyed had France in their top 3 countries with the rudest residents.
There it is, you guys. There it is. What are you guys' thoughts? For me, I feel like a lot of like rudeness is cultural differences and not understanding each other's culture and language, and it's miscommunication, and it comes off as rude, or one country's people does things a certain kind of way, and that's normal in this country, but it comes off really rude from an outsider's perspective. And that's how I really felt in China. I think people I came across in China, like Chinese people, like some things that they did was normal for them, like that's just their culture. But of course, from my point of view, it was rude, but that doesn't necessarily mean they were being rude. It's just their culture, and I had to change my thought process to kind of fit into China in a way, because I was in their territory in a way, you know. So like, who am I to say that they're being rude just because they're following their own culture? You do know what I mean. But yeah, apart from that, I think there's rude people in every single country. But yeah, I just think for the most part it's just cultural clashes, you know what I mean. Like, British people are extremely sarcastic, and I think it does come across as rude to a lot of different countries. Perhaps, you know, like the United States of America, they're not really maybe in tune with the British humor. As a New Zealander, I can really understand it because we were like a colony of Great Britain, so I think I can understand that a little bit better. But yeah, apart from that, I just think it's cultural differences. But what do you guys think? Do you guys really think that a whole country of people can be like the rudest country on earth, or do you think it's cultural differences? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you have a video topic, just leave the comment down below, or any country you want me to react to, leave it down below as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.
At the store, control gonna smoke. They tell me to quit, don't listen what I'm told. They help me forget that this world is so cold. I don't even know what I'm chasing no more. Tell me what I want, let's keep searching on. It's never enough.